Hey everyone, this is Nick with Us versus Herd. Today I'm going to go over the pros and cons of trading options on the Robinhood app. Now this is the pros and cons as the app stands today. So take a look at the date at the bottom. This doesn't mean they're not going to make improvements. I'm sure Robinhood is going to make improvements. I'm sure they're going to make things better. But as of today, this is kind of, if you were going to trade options on Robinhood today, this is kind of where we stand. Where this is where they stack up against the competition. And the one con I would say already is right now you can only trade options on the app. You can't trade options on their web platform. So that's one con already. But as you can see here, I have my Robinhood app open. I'll just go through it real quick. I like to use SPY as an example just because it's a pretty good example. You know, starting here, you take a look at the stock. You have a little trade symbol down here, but before we get into all of that, the one thing that I do like is that it keeps track of your history here and a running tally, and it does it better than other platforms, I would say. If you're on Thinkorswim, Tastyworks, it kind of does this. I mean, you kind of got to dig a little bit, but they have a little slide bar that shows you this. But right on the home page here, it shows you kind of how you performed in the past or what orders you had in. So you can see here on April 24th, I bought a put here for 95 cents at 10.46. Here, you know, say and then I sold it, closed the position here for $1.21 at 11.08. So you can see here in about 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes or so, I made about 20-30%. And what I like about having the history here is kind of showing, you know, are you good at trading the stock? Are you good at trading this ETF? If not, maybe you should not trade it. So I kind of like that it has the history there. And I think QQQ was another one I traded. I don't trade a whole lot of options on here. I've been playing around with it. Yeah, QQQ on May 2nd I held overnight, made about double. So as you can see, these are not huge gains, but the percentage, if you focus on the percentage, is what's important. You know, I almost made 100% on this. So, you know, if you threw more money at it or you had more to invest, but as you can see, I was just playing around with my little buying power. I turned like $80 into buying power into 169. So kind of just messing around with the Robinhood app. Robinhood I mostly use just to kind of hold stocks and just play around with. I primarily use Thinkorswim and Tastyworks for all my options trades. I can do about 3 to 5 options trades a day. But back to Robinhood. You know, the one thing that is nice here, you can just go to trade options here, makes it nice and clean. You know, I will say their interface is clean. It's nice. You can see that they have the nice dates up here, what date it expires. The one thing that I don't like about it is that you can't trade options on the day of expiration. So today is May 8th. Tomorrow's May 9th. Now, SPY, they expire every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So a lot of times I do like to trade them on the day they expire just to get some cheap premium. If I know that we're going to have huge swings that day, I will trade SPY or QQQ on the day that it expires. And SPY I like because there's so many expirations. You get some if it falls on the day that there's a lot of movement, you can get some cheap options and get 500%, 400% gains. But SPY, I could buy this, but tomorrow I won't be able to buy this May 9th, even though it doesn't expire to end of market close. And other platforms let you trade the option on the day of expiration all the way up until that expires. So that I am not a fan on. If I buy this today, if I buy this May 9th put today, I can't, and the trade was working out, I can't buy more tomorrow. This option will say, I don't have a screenshot, but it'll say that I can only close this option. I can only close out this contract instead of opening new ones, which is kind of a bummer if you trade expiration day. A lot of the money that I do make are on days of expiration with huge swings in the market. I will say they do make it nice and easy how if you're buying or you're selling. So if you're going long or if you're going to short options, it does make it easy if you're in a call or a put. You know, I'm not a big fan of how they do this grid though. It doesn't show you easily if you're in the money or out of the money. And then they have the percent to break even here. I'm not really a fan of that, but I don't really think it does it any good in terms of I don't think the break even price is really true because there's a lot of factors that go into it. what's the IV rank, what's the volatility, what's going on with the stock. You know, it could be if IV expands, you'll be making more money. If it decreases, you'll be making, you know, this will be worth less money, and then your break-even price will be even further away. So I wouldn't concentrate too much on the break-even price. You know, I would much rather, I'll kind of show you Thinkorswim here. So if I'm looking at these May 9th SPY here, I would rather see on that home screen what's the volume, what's the open interest, or what's the probability that you're going to be in the money. I would say that is more important. On Thinkorswim, this is more customizable. Also, like I said before, it doesn't make it clear what's in the money, what's out of the money on a quick glance. On Thinkorswim and on Tastyworks, you can see here, it makes it really easy. Yellow means you're in the money, white means you're out of the money. And then here's the put side, same thing, yellow in the money, white out of the money. So it makes it very easy in that regard. If you go back to Robinhood here, you can see that it's not, you know, it's not that clean, you know. But the other thing is when you go to here, it once you put an order in right away. So if I click on this 267 call, I'm going to buy 267 call. It brings you right to this order screen. It's nice if you know what you're doing, if you know exactly what you want to do, but if you want to dive in further, you have to click on this little graph in the upper right hand corner to get some more information on it. And you know, by the time you get back, by the time you're doing all these taps through the app itself, you may lose the price or may lose where you were at, but you know, it does show your chance of profits 33%, so it does have the probability, but it's not as clean as being on that home screen. You know, it does have the IV rank, and it does show your theta numbers down there and some of the Greeks. And you know, you can dive in deeper. It tells you what the high of the day is and what the low of the day was. So I mean, it does have the information in there, but you kind of got to dig for it. You can't just say, okay, I want to look at these options, and okay, I really like this. As in Thinkorswim or Tastyworks, even on their mobile app, you can easily just do that. You could see at one glance, okay, these options are the one that I want to do. One other interesting thing that you could say today is that SPY, you can see on both the call, if I select call and put, these are both losers today. The calls and the puts were losers today, and that's just theta. Because they expire tomorrow, the market, let's see, did SPY go anywhere today? You know, SPY really hasn't gone anywhere today. You know, we're basically break even now. I mean, we've had some huge dips if you day traded it, but if you're holding it all day for tomorrow expiration, you know, that's what theta is going to do for you. You know, these options are down 20% here on the puts, and the calls are down 32% and 27% and 40%. So, you know, I think Robinhood doesn't do a good job at explaining what the risk is when trading options if you don't know what you're doing. Because if you either bought a put or a call, these are all going to be losers unless you were able to successfully trade these swings. But today was really choppy, and that kind of brings me into the other area where they're charting. Definitely not a fan of their charting. I mean, this is just terrible. You can't if you want to day trade, you can't change this. I mean, this is the 1 day chart. You should be able to break it down into a 5-minute chart, 15-minute chart, 30-minute chart, or 1 hour chart, whatever you like to do. I prefer to trade on the 15-minute chart. And we can bring up SPY here just to kind of show you. I've been trading. So SPY I have in this bottom corner, and I have the 15-minute chart going. And as you can see, just that whole chart was very choppy. Let's try to bring up Robinhood here at the same time so you can kind of compare it. So same chart pretty much, but you can customize it. And for day trading, and when you're trading options, if you're not like swing trading or holding overnight, if you're day trading, this chart's going to be complete garbage. You know, Robinhood definitely doesn't do day traders any favors with the way their charting works. I mean, yeah, it's cool. You can look at the day or the week, but it's not entirely accurate, I would say. You can't customize it, and you can't really see what the day really looked like. You know, down in here it was kind of flat. Up here I was saying it's kind of choppy. You know, we had huge spikes and huge rips. Today was very, very news eventful with the way that the deals and stuff that was going on in the politics, but we don't need to get into that for this video. but that's why it was a pretty choppy day. And as you can see here, the market really went nowhere. We went up and down. Didn't really, you know, it's trying to go green at the close here. We got about 15 minutes left here in the day. But that's pretty much it. I mean, yes, you can make money, like I said here. You know, I've been selling SPY and some of these other ones for profit. I've been dipping in, dipping out. I haven't been really, you know, actively trading on it. But I will say that for buying these, I look at the Thinkorswim chart to actually execute these orders. I just put it in here. The one thing that I don't like is when you go to trade options, and let's say I go to buy this. We'll go back to the calls here. And now the pricing changed quite a bit. Let's say I want to get this 267 call that I was talking about earlier. I click buy, and let's say right now, you know, the bid and ask right here, they don't really explain that to you. Right now it's 56, 57, the limit price. You know, SPY is nice and tight, but for some of the ones that have low liquidity or not as liquid, SPY is one of the most liquid ones on there, but they don't tell you that the top range of this here, 56 and 57, is actually the bid and the ask. Now, if we go to something that's, let's say, not as liquid, like I'm trading EA for earnings today, okay, I go to, let's say I'm going to look at EA today. That's the other thing. It started me at the very top instead of being at the money. You know, we started up here at the 155 calls, and the share price down here is 123.40. So we got to scroll all the way down to get to anywhere that we want to actually trade at. Okay, so let's look at these 124 calls on EA. So like I said, this is the 315, 335, and it's giving me a suggested price of 325. Now, if I look at this, see the bid and the ask. The bid is 315, the ask is 335. Those 124 calls, and if you don't hit it right, you know, it's not going to get filled. And I feel like they don't give you the mid price that well. I mean, yeah, it's automatically calculating the mid price for you, but you may have to come a penny under or go a couple penny unders the mid price, or depending on what you do, if you're trying to sell, go a bit above. And that goes towards the other thing is here I sold a vertical put spread here. I got a position, so I have a short position in Thinkorswim 123. I have a long position at 122 for earnings today. If I go into here, you can't select it. So the way you can't do any spreads or anything like that. I mean, yes, I was approved for it, but I can't do any spreads. And the way to do a spread here is I actually have to buy. I'm gonna have to buy this, these puts. That's bullish on the stock. I'd have to buy. Let's move this over so we can see. I'd have to buy this 123 call or put here, and then I'm sorry, I'd have to buy the 122 put. And then I'd have to sell, so I'd have to go buy, put in this put, and then I have to go to sell, and then sell the 123 put. So you actually got to do two orders, and the reason why you got to do the long contract first versus the short contract is you most likely, like I only have $160 in here. You don't have enough money in your account to cover that typically, unless you have a margin account with quite a bit of money in there, because a short put's going to cost you quite a bit of money on a $123 stock. So those are just some of the pros and cons. I see, yes, it does things well. I think it executes orders pretty well, but you have to hit the limit price really, you know, exactly right, or come a little bit under. I don't know. Let's see here. Does it do? Yeah, you can't do a market order, which I would suggest anyway. So you can only do limit price, and you pretty much have to hit that limit price exactly right. I wouldn't go, even if you could, I wouldn't do a market order on these just because you don't know what you're going to get, especially on Robinhood. I know that from buying stock at market, you definitely don't. It's not good. Never sell at market. Always sell limit or buy limit when you're buying stock, when you're buying options, selling options. You know, whenever you place an order, always be a limit order. That way, you know you're going to get the price that you want, and don't put it in the hands of the market makers. So, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Definitely interested in what you have to say. Was this video helpful? Was it not helpful? Leave a comment below. Have you been making money consistently on Robinhood? Do you enjoy it? Do you like trading options on there? Give it to me.